working through our hybrid technology, new world, whatever we want to call it. But glad you guys can hear us and see us that are now online. We have a quorum also in the room. So we'll go ahead and get started. The first agenda item is the minutes of April 8th. If someone could have a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Do roll call.
Yes.
All in favor? Melina?
Yes. Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Maggie?
Yes.
Earl?
Yes.
David?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Jamie?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you. Financial update, Tim?
Good morning. Thank you. March of 2022, we ended revenues of net of expenses of about $2.8 million. That was about $700,000 less than March of 2019. The difference there is mainly due to some of the capital outlay that we had purchased. So I'll mention that a little more later. Sorry. Tax revenues totaled $10.4 million, which is about $2.5 million, or 30% more than March of 2019. Very similar to the February numbers as well. So it kind of seems that we are now finding a plateau with our tax revenues. The largest variance were in the PSDA and the admissions line. The PSDA, as I've been mentioned, is due to the increased annual cap. And the admissions line, that's another more evidence there that the admissions were starting to receive some of the admissions tax back. Evidence that the recovery were coming through the main part of the pandemic. That's the last tax revenue that has yet to recover there. On the operating side, $2.9 million was the total, which is about $2 million or 40% less than 2019. There, the largest variance was in rental income, food service, and investment income line. On the rental income, it's down due to some dynamic pricing. The food service, their unfavorable variance there is due to some payroll during the pandemic that they're just now getting invoices to pay. So it's just lagging there. On the investment income, again, it's an unrealized loss, mainly due to the environment of the interest rates. So that loss it's unrealized, so it's going to reverse and be a zero. It would be a gain by the end of the, when the investment matures. So it's just unrealized. It's not a real loss there. Personal services on the expense side is right in line with March of 19. Total supplies is up about $54,000. We just purchased some more supplies than we did in 19. Other services, it's $1 million or about 20% higher than March of 2019, mainly due to some timing of some support payments to Indiana Sports Corp. In 19, we made it in February. This year, we made it in March. So it's just a timing. We saw the opposite last April. In 19, we also had a correcting entry that inflated the expense lines for security, video board maintenance, contractual fees, and miscellaneous expenses. So those are inflated in 19 because there was a correcting entry there. So just to explain that variance. On the capital outlay, it was about $400,000 more than 19. $715,000 was spent on the video board replacement in Lucas Oil, and we spent about just under $500,000 on the Fieldhouse project. So those are the big capital outlays that we had. Debt service was up about $400,000, as it will be due to the new bond, Fieldhouse bond that we issued. So, open to any questions anybody may have.
Thanks. Any questions on the phone? Good. Great. All right. Thanks, Tim. We'll move on to the Fieldhouse management report. I understand we have Matt Albrecht here. Hi.
Hi. We had a great quarter this past year, for this current year. Obviously, as compared to the prior year, if everyone may remember, we did not open up the building until October. So we've only been open October through March. But over that time span, we have had a total of 111 events this year compared to 69 in the prior year. A lot of that is driven just by a lot of the larger concerts that we've had. To date, we've had 7 very large concerts that have been very profitable. And we look to see in this next quarter, I was telling Tim, this next quarter we see, you were talking about admissions tax, our admissions tax is up significantly for the period of April and May so far. So we had Elton John, Bon Jovi, Justin Bieber, Journey, and New Kids on the Block as of last night. So we're starting to see a lot more people in the building. Year to date, we've had over almost 600,000 people in the building, to where last year at this time we've only had about 125. So we are seeing a significant increase in the number of attendees. So didn't know if anybody had any questions.
Thank you, Matt. Does anyone have any questions? Appreciate you being here. Thank you.
That was Mick Terrell's playlist, by the way.
When does it shut down
Starting with
to begin construction again?
Actually, we will start shutting down as of today, after the New Kids on the Block, but we do have 5 fever games. So the last fever game was on May 22nd. So as of May 23rd, it will be completely shut down.
All right, we are on to Visit Indy update. Leonard.
Okay, if you go to page 11 in your packets, you've got the monthly hotel report. There is a lot of green in the 2022 column, which is great news for the CIB and for our city. I will throw out the caveat that we still have a ways to go, especially downtown, but downtown revenue in March was actually higher than downtown revenue for hotel rooms in 2019 for March. We're still behind year-to-date downtown, as you can see in the farther right column, but the fact that we did 103% of revenue downtown was a great sign. We obviously had a very busy March. We had NCAA for a second round, we had Big Ten, we had the National Truck Equipment Association for the first time since just prior to the pandemic starting. And so it was a very strong month. In general, if you go down March 22, you'll see green, green, green. That's all records for the MSA, for Marion County, for downtown, for non-downtown Marion County. So things are looking up on that sense. For year to date, and this is super great news, as a result of that strong March, Marion County overall hotel revenue is actually up from 2019. So comparable period going back 3 years ago, you take you assume that the tax percentage is going to be the same, those 3 years difference. It means we're actually ahead of pace 3 months into this year on hotel tax collections for the CIB, even though it'll be delayed when Tim finally gets all that money. But that's just a great sign. So I mean, this is the best I've seen in a year to date for since 2019, right? So it's nice 3 years later to finally get some good news on something along those lines.
I think Earl has a question.
Earl?
Yeah, in terms 19 versus now, has there been much capacity change either downtown or in Marion County, or are we still relatively where we were?
Now, the supply is up. So if you look at, there's actually a word supply on the left, you'll see under each section, Marion County, downtown, et cetera. If you were to divide the 263,097 for downtown by 31 days for March, you would get kind of the nightly rooms that were available, and that number was 239,506 in 2019. A lot of the increase in inventory are those properties down by the stadium that have opened up in the last couple of years. So we haven't had any major projects, but we have had those.
So that's what that is. Okay.
Yeah, that's what supply means, yeah.
You also have Hotel Indy, Bottle Works.
Hotel Indy, Bottle Works. There's some boutique properties and some what they call select service properties. We haven't had the big group hotels, obviously, like a Signia or anything like that open up. And that's a relatively, you see a gap of 24,000. Well, that's 24,000 divided by 31 days, and that will show you the delta between the 3 years. Where you've seen a ton of growth is if you go into some of the other areas. The Indy MSA, non-Marion County, is up from, where are they at? From 336,000 supply to 376,000 supply. So that's 40,000 over the course of 31 nights. So there's been more growth on that in the non-Marion County for the last couple of years now. If you go on to slide 12, that's where we are year to date with our production. We're at 104% on our booking goal. That's also the fastest start we've had in about 4 years, 3 or 4 years on what we're booking into the future years. Our lead numbers, if you go into the slides beyond that, you'll see the various graphs. We're at 100%, so we're right on pace through the end of April. Hotel data is through the end of March. This is always through the most recent month, our production numbers. So those are right where we need them to be, and we have a more aggressive goal in 2022 than we did last year, so we're pleased to be on that goal. A couple of other things I'll note. Fire Department Instructors Conference, I know Monique will talk about it, but from an attendance perspective, they were right a hair under 32,000, I believe. Historically, they're about 36,000. Last year, when they were held in August, they were about 24,000. So they're back to 90+% of where they were. They had about a 30% increase in their August meeting to their April meeting, and so that was a good sign. And frankly, they could have been higher, and one of the things we understood that suppressed a little bit of their attendance was because their last meeting was last August, there are some cities with fiscal years setups where this wound up being the second fire department meeting in the same fiscal year, and they couldn't come, or they had to send fewer people, or they couldn't do the same training within the same fiscal year and that sort of thing. And so that was actually an artificial, I think, hold on some of the numbers for them. A couple of other things. One thing I wanted to share with you is later this month, a show called AAPA will be in. The reason PA is not spelled out is it stands for either physician associates or physician assistants. I always call them physician assistants, but the industry calls them both depending on where they're licensed. That show is worth noting to me because I always talk about this being a long game, and one of the reasons you have, our staff tends to live through multiple gubernatorial and mayoral administrations and things like that, is it takes a really long time to get some of these shows to fruition. This is a show we were multiple times, I think, 0 for 4 bidding on prior to 2014. It's a medical group, and medical is always has historically been a little tougher to get in Indy. In 2014, we got designated with that USA Today #1 convention city, and a couple months later, actually maybe it was even a month later, we were meeting with them. I remember that pitch in my head, being in that meeting and having that third-party USA Today designation really meaning something to them. So they decided to take a chance on us in 2022. At the time, seemed forever ago, 2014, 2022, and now they're meeting in about 10 days in Indianapolis. About 6,500 physicians associates and physicians assistants will be here. So that was one of our earliest medical. We've obviously had American Dental commit to Indy and some other groups like that since then. But I think it's just worth reminding, we've been bid on this group back to the 1990s. We were 0 for 4. We get USA Today's designation. We end up winning the bid, and then they're finally meeting in 2022. It's a crazy cycle of times. I've been asked on a regular basis about what's up with NFL Combine. We will know on May 24th is what we've been told, and that is I think it's the last day of the spring meeting for the NFL, spring owners meeting. I would say all the buying signs from our perspective are really strong. A year ago, I think we were basically the equivalent of the horse that just won the Kentucky Derby. We were like 80-1 odds a year ago based on what I was hearing. I would say we're the favorites now, in my opinion, and that's kind of sticking my neck out a little bit with another 2 weeks before we know with certainty. But I just feel like we made a really compelling bid. Chris Gall and Donna Money and Susie Townsend on our team did a ton of legwork on that, and we got a ton of help from Eric and from Andy and from the Colts and from IU Health. And we will, because this meeting is 2 weeks from that, and we won't meet again until after that. I would just say that. I feel confident about it, and at least for 23, and we hope for both years. So we'll see. And then one thing that I just want to share with all of you, we may or may not know this, but last night the Indiana Chamber of Commerce did their annual Best Places to Work, and I'm pleased to note that Visit Indy, for the 7th year in a row, was noted as a best place to work in Indiana. And to our knowledge, it was the 2nd consecutive year we were the highest ranked nonprofit in the state. So. Appreciate the support we get from the CIB and from so many others to make a good workplace.
Excellent.
Thank you, Leonard. Any other questions for Leonard? Online? All right, excellent. Thank you. So we will move on to the Convention Center update. Hi, Monique.
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much, and good morning, everyone. We hosted 20 events since our last meeting in April. Some highlights include FDIC, which was very successful. We also hosted back some really great repeat customers. We had HT Hackney and Impact, Leading Age. We also had the mini marathon packet pickup back with us after a couple of years, so that was really exciting. This weekend we're moving in Tyler Technologies. That's a tech group out of Texas. They'll start moving in here in a couple of days, expecting about 6,000 attendees. We're utilizing a little over half of the building. In the other half of the building, just a quick shout out to our local sales team. They did a really good job filling in some of the spaces and some of the holes that Tyler Technology did not book. We're welcoming back quite a few IUPUI graduations in that space, so we're really excited. We're hosting the School of Informatics. We'll also have the School of Engineering graduation. We'll also have the Kelly School of Business graduation, and last night we hosted the celebration of Black graduates. In the Sagamore Ballroom, we also were able to get a nice group in there over the next couple of days. It's a bodybuilding group called the Midwest Battle of Champions. Ironically, this group, first time they were ever with us was in 2020, sort of in the height of the beginning of the pandemic, and they've been back every year ever since. So it's kind of nice to see this one slowly turn into an annual for us, and to see them grow has been really nice. Looking ahead after Tyler Technologies, the group that Leonard mentioned will be moving in the American Academy of Physician Assistants. They'll be in the entire North Campus. They're expecting about 8,000. At the same time as that meeting, we'll be hosting in the South Campus another very important meeting. The Indiana Economic Development Corporation's Global Economic Summit will be with us. You may have read about this group maybe, or saw something on television, but this is a really important group. They have attendees from over 25 countries. Some pretty high-profile guest speakers will be with us. Hats off to Chad's group. They've been working really hard and very carefully with this group, and just ensuring that this important meeting is successful. Looking ahead just a little bit, in June, we already have 13 meetings on the books and contracted. Just some highlights are PopCon. We also have School Transportation News. That's a group that's focused on safety of school transportation, school bus drivers and the like. We will also be hosting a Kiwanis International meeting. We also have a group called Sports Inc. They're with us quite often and annually, so it'll be nice to have them back. And then we have another group. The acronym is APIC. It's APIC. I have to read this one because it is a tongue twister. It stands for the Association for Professionals in Infection Control and Epidemiology. This was a group booked back in 2017. We're expecting about 4,000 medical professionals for that meeting. Really excited. From start to finish, they'll be with us a little over a week, so a good bit of June we'll be hosting them, and we're really excited about that. So I look forward to sharing details about that meeting, as well as the others that I mentioned, and any others that we may book when we meet again in June, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Awesome, thank you, Monique. Any questions for Monique? All right, great. Thank you. Eric?
Thank you. We've had a lot going on since the last time we talked. 2 Monster Dam shows, so we had the group back again. We did the Pathway to Health, which was where we served, our clients served all the folks from around central Indiana or wherever, all sorts of medical services, including surgeries, other things on the field of Lucas Oil Stadium. So that was interesting. Never seen that before. It was great to be able to facilitate them providing that service. FDIC was back in full force in Lucas Oil Stadium. Great to see them again so soon. We were an election polling place for the primary election last week. Got several private events. We had the Colts Select a Seat open house. We had a Colts cheer showcase. We had the Indiana Association of Student Councils come and have their meetings. So we had students from all over the state again in our building. And then the Fight for Air Climb, the American Lung Association's fundraiser. They used the building last weekend. We also have Tyler Technologies. They have some big stars coming for some of their events here this week. And then we have a couple small private meetings, and then we go dark for a couple weeks, or a couple months here as we change out the LEDs. Tom's big project where all the video boards are being replaced, and we're working on the suites as well to give those the needed updates that they needed. So that's an unusual period for us, but we are working really hard to make sure that we continue to book. And kind of on that note, last night the Colts schedule came out, and we worked hard in coordination with the Colts to get to a point where, well, this will be my 6th NFL season here, and it'll be the first time we've had Monday Night Football, and we have 2. So those primetime games, they really are going to hopefully drive people staying in hotels and staying downtown. Looking forward to that, and it's a great schedule for everybody to work to coordinate several things to make that happen. And then, Leonard didn't say this, so I'll just say it. Big Ten announced that we have a Big Ten football championship game for 2 more years, through 23 and 24, and that adds on to 22, which we already had. That was a big community-wide effort to be able to get that. Everybody in here had some piece of making that happen, whether it's the state or the city or Visit India, the Sports Corp, or the CIB. So I think we were all really collectively proud that we were able to keep them. That's a huge event for us. So that's my report. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Eric. Any other questions for Eric?
I'll add on to the Colts schedule. If you didn't see it, our home opener is actually against the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. That'll be quite the high-demand game, I'm sure. Which is week 3, because we're on the road the first 2 weeks.
And I will just add that to all of those who are marveled at the way we were able to turn over Colts, the FFA, end of their FFA conference to Colts game in under 24 hours. We get to do the same thing over again. So it's becoming a habit, unfortunately. But we'll get it done once again. Yeah.
And Eric, our Monday night games are Steelers and Cardinals, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So those will be big draws too.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
Okay, we are on to item number 6. Andy, I'll turn it to you to explain.
Sure. This is an agreement between the Metropolitan Development Commission of the City of Indianapolis and Marion County and the CIB. This has to do with the Phase 6 expansion, the Hilton Insignia project. We have been hard at work with Hilton and with Kite on the design of the project and how it's coming together. And this is the first one was sort of an interlocal agreement that we passed at the beginning of that project. And then this is the next follow-up agreement, and it shows progress that we've made. This agreement will formally delegate the authority and obligations of the MDC, who is putting up the public contribution for the Phase 6 expansion. That is the MDC's money. It's downtown TIF, a pledge of downtown TIF, and so the MDC and the city's contribution to the project, they want us to manage it, the CIB to manage it, and that's what this project, or that's what this agreement does. So I'll just read it. This agreement provides the relevant delegation of obligation and authority from the MDC to the CIB to accomplish the city's intent to have the CIB manage and administer the quote-unquote podium project on behalf of the city and MDC. More specifically, the agreement serves to, first, formalize the relationship prescribed by the interlocal cooperation agreement between the MDC and the CIB that already exists, and 2, delegate the MDC's authority and responsibility to construct the podium project to the CIB. So, I'm happy to answer any questions, but this is really a legal document that really becomes an agency agreement where the CIB acts as the agent of the city to make sure that we all get the project we want.
Questions? It's exciting continued progress.
Yep.
So one of the necessary pieces to keep moving forward. If there are no other questions, then I will go ahead and ask for a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
And roll call vote.
Melina.
Aye.
David Corbett.
Aye.
Nick Terrell.
Aye.
Dave Runcorf. Oh, Jim Doro. Aye. Maggie Lewis.
Aye.
Rogood.
Aye.
Sarah Fisher.
Aye.
Jamie Buller-Smith.
Aye.
Thank you very much. It's exciting.
Yeah, great. Okay, so we're on item number 7. If you're following the agenda, emergency medical services request.
So, as with many of our long-term contracts that we've had for the center and Louisville Stadium, we've been bringing those sort of methodically to you as we complete RFP processes to compete these agreements. We did the same sort of RFP competition for the emergency services contract that we've had historically with IU Health since, I think, the beginning of needing emergency services in the city. And as a result, we had that competition, and we had 2 bidders come to an introductory meeting to ask questions and whatever. And we ended up with 1 bid from IU Health. You can see the details of it here. Because this is a contract that will last longer than a year, we're bringing it to you, the board, for approval. And you can see the resolution there, and then the exhibit. Eric and Kobe did an excellent job and have continued to do an excellent job with all of these different RFPs and competing contracts. So, happy to answer any questions. Okay. Eric?
Just wanted to point out that we're still working on trying to negotiate the price even further. This is noted as a not to exceed, and so in that 5-year period, we still hope to deliver a bit more value there.
Okay, so before we call for motion, I'm going to be recusing myself from this vote. So if we could get a motion?
So,
So question,
Oh, sorry.
Madam President. My wife is actually an IU Health board member. I would imagine that I'll need to recuse myself as well.
Thank you.
Let's make sure we have enough
Do we have enough
to,
still?
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, okay. Great.
yes, 6.
Okay. So I guess I'll take it. 2 recusals. Is there a motion?
so
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Mick Terrell.
Aye.
Jim Doro.
Aye.
Maggie Lewis.
aye.
Ro Good.
Aye.
Sarah Fisher.
Aye.
Amy Goldschmidt.
Aye.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. Onward, number 8, the agreement, or award of an agreement for insurance brokerage services.
Sure. So one of my first contracts that we approved when I started here 3 years ago was this insurance brokerage contract. It is was a 3-year contract, and it has been 3 years. So Don, you want to take it away?
As Andy indicates, the CID has for several period of time periodically gone through a process to select its insurance broker, and it's been on a 3-year schedule. For well over 20 years, long before I got involved in the process, the CID basically followed a similar procedure in that it would issue a request for proposal to 4 or 5 selected insurance brokers. That proposal included considerable information about CIB's operations, facilities, all the information needed for brokers and underwriters to evaluate the risk and provide quotations. The unique aspect of that process was that you can't have 4 or 5 different brokers all contacting the same underwriters. It creates chaos and you don't get proposals. So in the former RFP process, there was a draft, if you will. There was a selection of underwriter process whereby the brokers that received the RFP had the opportunity through a random drawing to go through and select underwriters who they would be able to contact and others would not. And then once that draft was complete, the brokers would go out, solicit quotations, and then submit them at the designated time. And their quotations would include their qualifications and would also include the cost. And those costs would be the premiums that would be paid to the underwriters, and embedded within those premiums would be the commissions to the broker. This year, in February, we issued an RFP like we have in the past. There were some questions and concerns that were raised, however. The CID's insurance consultant for 25 plus years has been Steve Pickett of McGowan Insurance. It's important to note that Mr. Pickett and McGowan do not place business for the CID. They don't compete with the brokers. They're truly an independent advisor. They raised basically 3 concerns. One, there's been a consolidation of both the primary and the reinsurance markets. holding companies continue to acquire independent underwriters. And the independent underwriters either merge, they go out of business, or they're grouped in holding companies, so there's less markets that will compete against one another. The second concern was the risk portfolio of the CIB has continued to increase over the years. You had Lucas Oil in 2008, Convention Center expansion in 2011, the ongoing remodel of the field house. So you're driving up the insurance needs of the CIB and to the point where individual underwriters in most instances will not accept the entire risk, but you have to do layering. So you have to get multiple companies to buy layers of the risk to provide the required insurance. And if you have fewer markets and you have to have layering, that creates a tension. And then the last concern that they raised was just the tightening of the market in general. Natural disaster losses in the property area, big liability claims, all have reduced the appetite of risk for the underwriters and increased the premiums that they're charging. So they identified those. The current broker, the incumbent broker, before the process started, provided some of those same concerns. At the preliminary meeting that we had this year in February with the 5 candidate brokers, one of the brokers, who was a former broker for the CIB and participated in the 2019 process, indicated that certain brokers in 2019 had challenges in developing complete and competitive packages. And in his indication, the market has tightened further since 2019. We decided at that point in time to allow the other brokers who had been given the opportunity to participate to also comment on the RFP process. And the comments that we received were similar. We received comments from 2 of the 3 remaining brokers. One of them said that the best interest of the CIB is to have one broker who has access to all markets, can contact all the underwriters, get all of the different quotes, and package them in the most cost-effective way. And that broker indicated that by dividing the markets was not in the CIB's best interest. The 4th broker basically said the same thing and even said if the RFP process stayed in place, they would choose not to participate because they did not believe it was in the CIB's best interest. So given that feedback from the industry, from the insurance consultants, we changed course a little bit. We did not go through the draft procedure this year. Rather, in March, early March the 11th, I believe, we issued what we called a request for qualifications and fee proposal. And we asked by a specific date all of the brokers to submit their experience, training, qualifications, their ability and capacity to serve as the CIB's broker. And we also asked them to submit what we called a brokerage fee. And this would be a fee that if they were selected, this would be a fee that the CIB would pay to that broker for that broker to provide all of the designated services which we have outlined in detail to procure, place, and manage the insurance for the CIB. But we said quoted on what's called in the industry a net basis, meaning that this will be a payment that the CIB will make to the selected broker, but that broker will not receive commissions from the underwriters that it utilizes to place the business. And we had them agree that they would, when they solicit quotes from the underwriters, those would be on a net basis. There would be no commissions embedded in them, and that they would not accept commissions. So of the 5 brokers who received originally the RFP and then the request for qualifications, we received submittals from 4. One chose not to participate. CIB's insurance consultant, Mr. Pickett, also assisted by Carl Boyer of McGowan Insurance. CIB staff and myself reviewed all of the submittals. We looked at the information as to qualifications, and it was our belief that all 4 of the brokers were in fact qualified if selected to serve as the CIB's broker for the next 3 years. And then with respect to the broker's fee, NFP submitted the lowest fee. So The fee that they would be paid if you award the contract, they will be paid $69,000 in the first year, $70,000 in the second year, and $71,000 in the third year to serve as the broker. And again, so if you award the contract, we'll enter the contract with NFP on that basis. But understand, that's just their broker's fee. They'll go out, they'll now have access to all the markets. They'll develop the quotations, the proposals that we need to meet the CID's insurance needs. And then at a subsequent meeting, probably the July meeting, the board will be presented with the actual proposals and authorize the payment of those premiums that will be made again on a net basis after that. So that's a summary of the past few months on insurance. Can I answer any questions?
So what we're considering today, 69, 70, and 71,
Yes.
to hire the broker,
Yes.
then they'll come back with the next phase, the big dollars,
And
so to speak. So, but today it's just those 3 years, 69, 70.
correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Don. I know it's been a tremendous amount of work. Are there any other questions? Okay. So we're going to take this to a vote. I am going to recuse myself from this, so if we could get a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. David Corbett,
Aye.
Mick Terrell,
Aye.
Jim Dora, Maggie Lewis,
Aye.
Earl Goop,
Aye.
Sarah Fisher,
Aye.
Jamie Goldschmidt. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
David Runcor's not on, correct? All right, still not. Got it.
Well, and that sounds like a very competitive race,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yes.
Congratulations.
It'll save us a good deal of money on that broker piece of it, right? We'll see what the premiums come back at in July. So, thank you.
Okay, we are on to the item number 9, Cambridge Fieldhouse artwork printing and installation.
So, I learned something in part of this, talking to Tom. When artists do their artwork, this visual artwork, they don't generally install it or hang it themselves. So that's what this... It makes sense, it does. I didn't think of it. I thought they were going to come out there with their paint and paint on the walls. But that's not what's going to happen. We have to hire an installer to install it. So we will take the art from the artist in their studio and go install it at Cambridge Fieldhouse. So this is part of the Cambridge Fieldhouse of the Future project. Certain areas of the Fieldhouse will display public art. The CIB, along with the Pacers, engaged the Arts Council to prepare an artist call to commission of this public art. The selection was established with members of the CIB, Pacers, Arts Council, and the community. So this is, again, the art installation part. So we had 3 vendors submit proposals, each reviewed by this group, the CIB, Arts Council, Pacers, and the architect of record reviewed these proposals. Diversity Press LLC was found to be the most advantageous. This was through an RFP process. They were able to demonstrate their vast amount of experience, including the most recent projects with the Children's Museum, Butler University, and Purdue University. Diversity Press LLC also submitted the lowest base proposal of $25,950. Diversity Press LLC is 100% MBE. Staff and council recommend the award of to Diversity Press LLC in the amount of $25,950 for the Cambridge Fieldhouse art installation contract.
Any questions? Okay, so we'll take this to a vote. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Okay, Melina.
Aye.
David.
Aye.
Mick.
Aye.
Jim. Aye. Maggie.
Aye.
Earl.
Aye.
Sarah.
Aye.
Jamie?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next is, I also learned that sometimes when you award a commission to an artist, they can't ultimately do it, and we have to replace them, which is where we are with this second contract. As part of the Fieldhouse of the Future project, again, the same group got together for the selection process of the selected 10 artists who will display their work according to the storyline established by the architect. So this is a replacement contract. We would like you to approve this replacement contract for Kevin Samola, the amount of $7,500. This is for, in your materials, you can see the area as to where it will be. And it's really the kind of near the north opening. It's the Hoosier Hysteria fans selfie spot, sort of a new digital design and setup for printing and those sorts of things. So this is similar to what we've all done. Yeah, we've approved these before, but it's just a replacement of someone who couldn't do it.
We're ready to take it to a vote? Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Melina.
Aye.
David.
Aye.
Nick.
Aye.
Jim. Aye. Thank you. Earl.
Aye.
Sarah.
Aye.
Jamie.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, disposal of obsolete equipment, item number 11.
As we have in the past, the CIB finds itself having replaced a lot of equipment. And as we do, we need to dispose of the equipment we once were using. And that's what this is. So we'd like to have your approval to dispose of this equipment. Yes.
Second.
Fair. I mean, Jamie, this is the first Jamie's disposal. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I'd like Don to explain how to dispose of the equipment works.
It's a little bit more complicated than insurance, I think. Yeah, we're fine.
Do you want to do a vote?
Yeah. Melina.
Aye.
David.
Aye.
Mick.
Aye.
Jim. Aye. Maggie.
Aye.
Earl.
Aye.
Sarah. Jane.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Earl. Okay. Number 12, claims.
Claims, Tim, I'm lost here. All right, now I got it, okay. So we've got vouchers, operating expense voucher of $4,110,056.04. Confirming expense voucher, $13,366,486. I think the larger confirming expense voucher is based on when the April meeting occurred in the calendar. It was early, we didn't have all of our bills in order to pay, so we didn't pay them then, so it was lower then in April. Now, we have those bills and we're paying April bills in May.
There's also some big ones. The Fieldhouse project is 3.6 million. There's also ticket office settlements in there of like 4 million, so it's higher than normal because of that.
So, yeah, we do need a motion to approve those claims.
So moved. Second. Abstains?
No, I didn't see any. Thanks.
Melina.
Aye.
David.
Aye.
Nick.
Aye.
Jim. Aye. Maggie.
Aye.
Earl.
Aye.
Sarah.
Aye.
Jamie.
Aye.
Thank you. And then the last claim is for the Gamebridge Fieldhouse of the Future project. Again, not our operating funds. This is out of the bond trust funds, but we wanted to make sure you saw how we're spending it. This is a voucher or a claim for $4,338,201.23. Approve.
So moved. Second.
Melina.
Aye.
David.
Aye.
Nick.
Aye.
Jim. Aye. Maggie.
Aye.
Earl.
Aye.
Sarah.
Aye.
And Jane.
Aye.
Thank you all. Really appreciate it.
Does anyone have any other business they'd like to share? Board members, think, Earl?
By the way, congratulations again to Visit Indy on their award, but one of our fellow board members is the celebrity pace car driver for the 500. So
Yes.
Yes, that's right, yay!
congratulations, sir.
Congratulations, guys.
That is a sweet car, Sarah.
Yeah.
I think she's the first celebrity driver and actual pace car driver.
Actual, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Love that.
Official, yeah. And I'm in the swing racetrack today, so thank you for accommodating that.
That's
Absolutely.
really cool.
I gotta assume the first ever CIB pace car driver. In David's mind, maybe. I did want to note something that Chris Gall texted me. The AAPA, which is the Physician Associate Physician Assistants, they have made available to us a select number of reserved seats that we would like to offer any CIB board members or anybody else that hears us. We have a limited number. They have a session with Simone Biles and Jane Pauley, Jane being a Hoosier and one of the original elected to the living legends of the Historical Society. But on Saturday, May 21st, from 4 to 5:30, the general session is going to be Jane interviewing Simone about mental health and things along those natures. So, but they have offered to us, and if you're interested, let Chris know and he can get the seat reserved.
Thank you. Any other business? Board members? Staff? Any public comment? All right, thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend.